I'll introduce myself. My name is Megan Dilly, and I'm the Program Manager Early Talent here at Ingredion. And tonight, I'm actually going to serve as your host and your event moderator during our event. So before we introduce our lovely panel for this evening, I do want to make mention that we will be raffling off 3 $15 gift cards for this event. So those event attendees who remain online with us the entire event tonight will be entered into a raffle. And after the event is over tonight, we will randomly draw out 3 names, and winners will be notified via email this week. So good luck. So on to our program. Joined with me today are 5 incredible Ingredion team members from various Ingredion facilities and functional groups within our manufacturing departments. I would like for each of them to introduce themselves. They're going to tell you where they work, what their role is here at Ingredion. Natasha, we will get started with you.
Welcome. My name is Natasha Carter. I currently am at the Argo plant. I am a quality control lead, and I've been here for 15 years.
All right, Anne, you're up.
Hey guys, I'm Anne. I work at our North Kansas City manufacturing facility, and I'm a project engineer, and I've also been there for 5 years.
Jonathan, we'll kick it over to you.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jonathan Ramirez. I'm Lean Management Specialist out of Westchester, Illinois.
All right, the other Megan.
Hey everybody, I'm Megan Proctor. I am a quality control specialist at the Winston-Salem location, and I've been with Ingredion 4 years.
And last but not least, John.
Hello everyone, I'm John Cunningham. I am the department manager of our dry starch unit at Argo, and I've been with Ingredion for 5 years.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for those nice introductions. Before we get started with our panel portion of the event tonight, I do want to take a moment to give you guys a high-level overview of Ingredion for those of you who might not be as familiar. So Ingredion is a $6 billion ingredient solutions provider, and we are headquartered in the suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. We serve customers in more than 120 countries throughout the world, though. So in short, our company turns different grains and fruits and vegetables and really other plant-based materials into ingredient solutions for various industries. Some of the main ones are food and beverage, animal nutrition, brewing, and our industrial markets. Our purpose as a company is to bring the potential of people, nature, and technology together to make life better. And really at Ingredion, we are all in. So without further ado, we're going to talk about careers at Ingredion with our engineering groups. Our goal is to make this discussion as open as possible with many opportunities for you guys to ask questions during the second half of today's event. So let's begin with our panel. So in 30 to 45 seconds, panelist members, please describe what you do on a day-to-day basis. And John, we're going to start with you.
So like I said, I am the department manager of our dry starch unit. And so I'm heavily involved in the day-to-day and the operations of that specific area. So I work with operators, the hourly workforce on anything from problems that we're having to making process improvements throughout our unit. I'm also a bit of a liaison to the higher plant management to kind of report out what's going on inside the unit, if there are issues, if there's maintenance that needs to be done or taken care of. So really just kind of in the weeds and tackling a lot of the day-to-day issues that come up.
Great, thanks, John. Megan, let's kick it over to you.
So as a quality control specialist, a lot of my job involves mediating between the lab and operations, just to help support our customers in getting what they need quality-wise, specification-wise. And really a lot of what I do, it encompasses every product at our plant, which is dry starch, meal, feed, and corn syrup. So, and also there's a lot of maintenance on equipment, laboratory analytical skills. So just supporting operations, making sure that we're getting a quality product out to the customer and it's what they want within their specifications.
All right, Jonathan, you are up.
All right. So my background is in industrial engineering. So we work more with processes, more on the people side. So my day-to-day varies. So we might be in a week-long event, which we call a Kaizen, which is a focus group to tackle a specific problem. Or we might be teaching what we call lean belt, problem solving, or daily management tools. So some days we are teaching, other days we're improving an actual process, or process confirmations, just to make sure that the solutions that we implemented actually worked and they're staying current.
All right, thanks, Jonathan. And let's hear from you.
So as a project engineer at one of our facilities, I'm responsible for the development and management of capital projects on site. So that can be anything from installing new equipment to changing the process to construction. And so that's the upfront engineering and working with departments here that will be on the receiving end, whatever operators are going to end up using that equipment or whatnot. And then the project management side, so making sure it's on schedule, on budget, and everything's going the way that it's supposed to during construction.
Great. And last but not least, finally, Natasha.
The control lead, Megan Proctor actually broke it down a lot for us. We both are in quality control, quality assurance. I particularly have 7 individuals reporting to me in 2 of our laboratories here at the Argo plant. So my job is basically ensuring analysis is done completely and correctly, and making sure customer requests are completed, reviewing data all day, every day, ensuring equipment is always working to the best of their ability, and also serving as that person in between operations and quality as well, to ensure we're having all of our gaps filled and making sure everybody's on the same path.
Awesome. Well, thank you, panel, for giving us those brief overviews. I do want to take a moment, and any of the attendees, I'll do a shout out to you guys. If you have questions during our panel portion of the event tonight, feel free to put a Q&A into the Q&A section, and we will go through all of those during the second half of the event tonight. So Natasha, we're going to kick the first question over to you for this evening. So looking back, when you started in your career, how did your earlier career choices lead you to really where you are today?
Actually, it's kind of interesting. While I was in college, I was also track and field. I did track and field for almost 25 years now, but science has always been that thing that I've always wanted to do ever since high school. So I've always made sure that I participated in some program, every science fair, anything that had to do with science, I was there. During college, I was actually working in clothing when I started signing up for temporary agencies, because that's what seemed like at the time companies were going for. And just with that, a couple of interviews, I had a funny moment. When I interviewed here at formerly known as Core Products, now Ingredion, it was in January of 2005. I took 2 buses and a train to get here. And they couldn't believe it that I actually walked half a mile in the snow to come here for this interview. I was like, this was the place I was going for. This is what I wanted to do. And lo and behold, 15 years later, I'm still here.
Awesome. I love that, Natasha. Such a great story. Thank you for sharing that. And the next question is for you. So you mentioned that you've been an engineer with Ingredion at our North Kansas City facility for a few years now. If you had to pick one piece of practical advice you would give to someone considering an engineering or operations type of career at a company like Ingredion, what would that advice be?
I'm so glad I got this question, because I get to help, when career fairs were still a thing, got to help with those at our local colleges. And one thing that we always look for is what are students doing outside of the classroom. So a 4.0 GPA is awesome, great, glad you're keeping up with your coursework, but what do you like with people? What is your leadership experience? The more that you have that's applicable to real life outside of just being able to keep up with your homework and do well on the test is going to translate really well to an engineering or operations role, particularly the people component. So even if it's not related to engineering, if it's something in your sorority or fraternity or it's student government or it's something that you can just dive into and get some teamwork, get some leadership experience, and then along with that, know how to highlight it and bring those skills that you've developed to the interview and recruitment process. That's really impressive, because as an engineer, as an operations person, you're going to be dealing with people a lot. And most of the time, that's going to be more important than what you learned from your textbook. I mean, you're getting an engineering, a science and technology degree, you're pretty smart already, so you can probably learn what you need to know. But it's that people stuff that's really going to make you stand out and do well in one of those roles.
Thanks, Anne. I would totally agree, and I second that. John, piggybacking off of some of Anne's comments, how is working at Ingredion in a manufacturing facility as large as our Bedford Park plant really helped you develop as an engineer in your career thus far?
I think one of the biggest things that I came to realize is just how crazy it is that somebody could dream up a manufacturing plant, a process that is so big as the one that we have at Argo. And I think when you walk through those doors, and yes, there are a bunch of smells, there are a bunch of crazy sights that you see, but when you start learning about the process and seeing how it's all connected and how what you do in your role can have such a profound effect, not just on the plant, but for the company as a whole, I think to me, it just allows me to have a lot of pride in my job and keeps driving me to make those changes, because I know if you do make some positive changes and there is a huge impact, you certainly will get recognized and rewarded for that.
Thanks, John. All right, Megan, the next question is for you. So thinking of your role here at Ingredion, what are some of the ways the quality function of our organization is making a difference in our business for our customers?
So I think this is a really important aspect of quality. You're trying to make sure the customer has not only what they need for their products, but it's a wholesome product. So I think what Ingredion does really well is communicating with its customers, not only on like a regulatory scale, but just making sure that we have that good connection with them. For example, at our plant at Winston-Salem, we actually have our customers come in for visits, and we also schedule visits with them so that we all are kind of connected. We're all on the same page. We know what's going on at each facility. So it kind of just brings a bigger picture to what you're doing. It's kind of easy to get in your own bubble, your day-to-day tasks and whatnot. But just having that connection with your customers, it kind of makes your job a little bit more, not just fulfilling, but just that connection in relation to the bigger picture of what's going on within your plant on a larger scale.
That's some really great insight, Megan. Thank you. Okay, Jonathan, the next one is for you. So working in continuous improvement, you are actually able to help our company find areas that we can continuously improve for efficiency, processes, and everything like that. What is an important piece of advice you would give someone who's interested in coming into a company like Ingredion, who has a strong continuous improvement culture like ours?
Yeah, so we do a lot of problem solving. So I would say don't be afraid to challenge the status quo and think differently. We value different ideas. When you first join a company, you have fresh eyes, right? Everything is new, but that only lasts so long. So, before the culture takes over. So don't lose the ability to see things with new eyes, and don't lose that new perspective.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right, Anne, going back to you, what would you say are the most rewarding aspects of your role as a project engineer?
So for me, I love, like I mentioned, my job for projects is to put in new stuff or to fix things, usually bigger than just a tweak of a valve here and there. And so it is awesome to walk through the plant and look at the stuff that's there, physically there, because I put it there and I helped lead the team that did it. I remember my very first piece of equipment I installed was a heat exchanger, and I walk by that thing all the time and I just smile because it's like, oh, that was my first project. It didn't go well. I mean, it got installed, but I messed up a lot, but it's there and it's working, and it's really cool just to see that. And then on the flip side, working with manufacturing, especially manufacturing consumer good, is to just walk down the aisles of the grocery store and see the products that have our ingredients in them, and just know that it's a very visceral feeling to see your work like that. That's really rewarding from working in manufacturing.
Thanks, Anne. So would love to hear that aspect from someone from quality as well. So Natasha, what would you say is the most rewarding aspect of working within the quality team?
Two things. One is the teams that I've worked with. built up with me and those that I have built up after I have moved up. I love to see my team progress and just as fast as I did and continuing to make strides and know that we're all working for the same thing, making sure our customers are happy. Like Ann said, I love going in the grocery stores and seeing different things. My favorite thing is seeing Argo cornstarch and listening to the people talk about the stories about Argo cornstarch that they, basically in the 50s and 60s, pregnant women used to eat that while they were pregnant, and it was good, and they loved it. I'm like, no, thank you. A little too dry for me, but it's just so exciting to learn that our products are out there and people are loving it and everything else. And I'm like, I approve that. So.
Oh, that's so fun. I love hearing stories like that. Thanks for sharing, Natasha. So John, next question is for you. What parts of your role are challenging, and how do you manage those challenges and the possible stressors that can develop when having to work through those?
Sure. So right now I have 31 direct reports. So that is my biggest challenge. My role, I need to really be a people person, and I need to know how to work with people of all different types. And even though it's been challenging, and yes, it's stressful because I'm on call 24/7, but I end up developing a lot of very strong relationships with a lot of my employees, and I really wouldn't change any of getting into this position or the position before, which was similar, because I feel like I've grown so much in the past 3 years that I feel like I've challenged myself to the point where now I can see my growth as a manager and can handle situations that 2 or 3 years ago I really had no idea how to handle. So I think the people have been very challenging, but it's been so rewarding. And I know that's kind of a cliche, but man, is it the truth.
People are always just awesome. All right, thanks, John. Megan, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this question as well. So I'll repeat it again. What challenges do you come across working in quality, and how do you manage those challenges and the possible stressors that can develop?
So I think from a quality standpoint, the biggest challenge there is sometimes you're kind of getting, questions or what's the word I'm looking for? Just problems from different areas in the plant, because in the quality, like in the lab, you're pretty much handling every single product. And even though you know day to day what you're going to be facing, it still changes every day in a manufacturing facility. So from a quality standpoint, it's just making sure that, not only you meet the customer's needs, but you're supporting operations, you're supporting customer service, supporting your managers, and just making sure that you're getting all the data that is needed across in a timely manner. And that can be kind of stressful, but typically it just comes down to just making sure I'm getting all my checks done, checking off my list as I get my tasks completed, and then making sure I'm getting everything completed in a timely manner.
Awesome, thanks, Megan. All right, Jonathan, the next one is for you. How have you continued to grow and develop personally and professionally here at Ingredion?
Yeah, great question. So I get constantly challenged, and that is just the nature of my job. So we tackle change head on. Change management is part of what we do. And every group, every person reacts differently. So you have to be prepared and sometimes learn on the spot. People might react differently to that change. But additionally, I've taken a number of courses in workday learning. So part of us working more efficiently, is learning Power BI, Microsoft Teams now that we're all, we're in a virtual world, things like Minitab and SharePoint. So all of those things help us stay on top of technology and ultimately makes us more effective. So I'm always learning, constantly challenging, how can we make things better? So I'm always learning.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right, so thanks for all of those helpful and thoughtful answers. Before we move to the Q&A portion, the second half of today's event, I would like our panelists to answer one last question. And that is, what is the most fascinating or interesting thing you've learned since working at Ingredion? And Natasha, you can't use the same one about the starch, but we can start with you.
Say, corn is in everything. Everything. From your money, your paper, your ketchup, everything. It's in everything. So there's no getting away from it. We're everywhere. And we love it.
I love that. Anne, what's yours?
So mine is just, this is super nerdy, but starch chemistry is so fascinating, especially if you come from a chemistry or chemical engineering background. Just seeing this stuff where you walk by the raw chemical tanks that's got so many safety precautions and sensors and all of these things, because by itself, it's super nasty. It probably would kill you if you handled it the wrong way. But then you put it in a reaction tank, you mix it with the right other ingredients with the raw starch, and it comes out, and then we eat it. And that's just the magic chemistry come to life right in front of you. Super cool. And all the different things that starch can do. Like Natasha said, it's in everything. But you think of just corn, and we have at our site, we have over 400 recipes that we can do with just corn to make it do like slightly different things in our products. And that's super cool.
Thanks, Anne. All right, Jonathan.
Yeah, I would say the most interesting thing is just the depth of industries that we serve. So just to piggyback a little bit from food, beverage, brewing, paper, it really is fascinating. And then working on Westchester, which is our headquarters, and supporting our different plants, I get to see what they look like and how different each plant is. So I'll show you guys here. That's me right there at one of our plants in Mexico. So it's really cool, just a different industry and how each plant makes different things that the consumer gets. And like they all said, we're everywhere.
Thanks, Jonathan. Megan, what about you?
I would have to say, to me, it's just interesting how quickly the food industry as a whole can change just based off what customers want. You know, I mean, for example, how quickly Ingredion has adjusted to the plant-based proteins that the industry is demanding. I mean, that's customers as well, so, and consumers. So to me, I mean, just how quickly things can change, and then how quickly a business as large as Ingredion can adjust to those changes and wants and needs. It's just kind of surreal to see how quickly that can evolve.
All right, and last but not least, John, what is an interesting or most fascinating thing that you've learned since working at Ingredion?
So I'll go with two things. One is kind of like what everyone else said, you know, how we're in everything, but to build on that, you know, we talk about how we used to be corn products, you know, and corns and everything. But if you look at the company portfolio, we have potato starches, we have flour, we have fruit-based ingredients now. We've really developed and evolved over the last 10 years to where we have solutions for pretty much everything. And we're on all these continents providing all these solutions to all these customers. That's, to me, just quite fascinating that someone could come to us and we can just help them with what they need. And then the second thing is, before I started working at Ingredion, I thought, you know, railroads and rail cars were just things of the past and nobody really needed them, but we would not survive without the railroad at Ingredion. So that's a little under the radar, but just wanted to include that.
Thanks, John.